Khepera, emete. Oh, peace, 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 peace. Attack. Dua attack.
Puja, greetings. So we'll continue with our discourse for our examination of the discourse, the exchange between Amblichus Ab Amon and his student Porphyry. Last time we were discussing some principles of what is referred to as the ancient Egyptian Zodiac, the circular Zodiac, which is located in the Temple of Dendera, which is dedicated, it's actually the temple of Tuheteru at Dendera. So we'll read and then go to the temple. So let's go back just a little. So, but since the recipients of the impartible gift of the god are variously affected towards it and receive multiform powers from the sun, and we discussed that issue last week, according to their peculiar motions. Hence, the symbolical doctrine evinces through the multitude of the gifts that the God is one and exhibits his one power through multiform powers. So what he's explaining here is that the motions of the star systems are not autonomous forces of the universe. They don't operate on their own power. That there is a divine force behind the movement of the star systems. And so the star systems are as if the thought and the mind of the divine, and the motion of the stars is as if a dream in the mind of the divine. Similar to how when you have a dream, your consciousness, your mind is the force or the energy behind what is occurring in the dream. So there's an energy that is projecting from essence, from what we would refer to as nebular, that's causing the motions of the stars. And that is important to understand from a philosophical perspective because it relates the person to the universe in a from a perspective of divinity. So, in other words, you and the universe have something that's essential to both. It's not having something in common; it's having something the same. Hence, likewise, it says that he is one and the same, but that the vicissitudes of his form and his configurations must be admitted to exist in the recipients. So the recipients are the star systems. And if we were to try to develop a perspective that the universe is somehow separate from divine agency, that would be a fundamental misunderstanding of the nature of things. And it would essentially be unrighteous. It will not be in accord with truth. On this account, it asserts that he is changed every hour according to the signs of the Zodiac. In consequence of these being variously changed about the God according to the many modes by which they receive him. And another important point is that these energies of the universe that we're calling constellations and stars, etc., they have a certain peculiarities within themselves. For example, you have your own personality, which is peculiar to you, and your friend and your mother and everyone everyone has their own peculiarities. And if these peculiarities of constellations are examined, there are certain metaphysical exercises that you can do concerning certain star systems that enhances the spiritual power of the mind and also lends to a positive transformation of the personality towards spiritual illumination. If it's done properly, done correctly, under proper guidance. And so the peculiarity of the stars has to be examined, and they're examined by sages. And this occurred in ancient times. They are examined by sages metaphysically, not through telescopes and probes, etc., but through the mind. And that's why there are certain enigmatic aspects to ancient Kemetic civilization. There's some things you cannot discover by instruments, physical instruments. There are certain things that can only be discovered by the mind. And if you have sages that are highly purified, then those discoveries can be made and then, those discoveries can be made and then transferred to the aspirants coming up. The Egyptians used prayers to the sun. And again, it's important to understand that they're not worshiping the sun, worshiping the divine power behind the sun that causes the sun to manifest in a dynamic way. Comparable to these assertions, not only in visions, which are seen by the bodily eyes, but also in their more common supplications, all which have such a meaning as this, and are offered to the god comfortably to a symbolic and mystic doctrine of this kind. And here the key point is mystic doctrine. So this is not a dualistic perspective. Whenever you see the term mystic, it is relating to a transcendental reality that is essentially one's own true divine nature. And the whole purpose of the spiritual process is to discover that mystic reality of oneself. And that's what being a mystic is. And the practice of attaining that is mysticism. Hence, it will not be reasonable in anyone to undertake a defense of them. And what he means here is that to ascertain that the star systems and constellations are autonomously operable. There's something behind it. There's something that is the mover behind the motion that is unseen. And so I'm going to stop share here to show something. I'm going to reshare. And this is a temple of was referred to as Dendera. And we're looking at this is the gate to get into the temple compound proper. And beyond the gate is the temple. And the temple is oriented north-south because when relating the temple to the Nile River, at this location, the Nile turns east. It takes a strong turn towards the east. So to orient to the temple north-south. And what that does, metaphysically, it creates the perfect location to put a temple in which you have the Zodiac. In the ceiling of this temple is a full zodiacal God, you're going to use the word metaphysical again, metaphysical interpretation of the powers of the night sky. So we can't look at the whole ceiling. So we're going to look at one part of the ceiling. So on the left here and on the right here, you have a representation of the zodiac that incorporates what Ab Amon was talking about the powers and the energies behind the movement of the star system. So when you come here, you go through this gate, and then you enter the temple proper, and you come here, you see these capitals. These are the faces of the goddess Heteru. So this temple is dedicated to Heteru. And under here is a nice carving of Lord Khepera. So I'm going to stop share and then share again. And this is on the left side. And this is looking up at the ceiling, is all the way in the corner of the temple. Behind the capitals, you can see all the columns, the capitals have the face of Heteru and the shrine on her head. And what we're looking at is the Zodiac. And these are, each one of them firstly, you can see, let's turn it around. Okay. You can see this is the face and the body of Goddess Nut. This is her body, this is her legs, this is her rump, her legs, her feet, her face, her arms. And this is actually a yoga posture. And she has Ra, the sun disk, to her mouth. So she swallows Ra. In the evening, he travels through her body. And then she gives birth to him in the morning, comes out of her vagina. And he projects plumes onto the face of Heteru in her shrine. Photons of light and plumes of light. And these in the boats, these are all what I refer to as decans. And the decans, there are 36 groups of stars that are referred to as decans. And they're referred to as decans because they represent each of the 10 degrees of the elliptic of the movement of the sun around the movement of the earth around the sun. In other words, the Earth's orbit around the sun every 10 degrees. 0 degrees is at the March equinox, which this year is at, I believe, March 20th. And through the decan system, you get 360 days of the year, and then you have 5 added with 365. And on those 5 days, you have the birth of the divinities, Asar, Aset, Heru, Nebuchadnezzar, and Set. And the decans are grouped in threes. So these 3 represents one group. And then you have the other 3, and then so forth and so on. So if you want to loosely correlate them with the modern zodiac, these 3 would correlate with Capricorn, and these 3 would correlate with Aquarius, and then there are 3 Pisces, so forth and so on. And you can see they're all in a bowl. And so it is referring to the motions, the movement. And you see they're under the body of the goddess Nu. And if you look under the body of Nu, look on the body of Nu, you can see the wave lines. And this refers to as the ocean of consciousness, primordial ocean of consciousness. In a more to say the primordial ocean of consciousness is the most subtle, and from there you get the dark matter. And on the other side, I don't have the photo of the other side pulled up right now. But on the other side, Lord Khepri is the one. So these are not these this one and the one on the other side have to be looked at together. They're not isolated. So you have to study them together. And on the other side, let's see if I can pull it up quickly. If not, then we'll skip. But let's see if I can pull it up quickly. Okay, that's quick. See, on this side, here's her feet, her legs, and you can see Lord Khepera is coming out of her vagina. And on the other side, you saw Ra coming out. So she's giving birth to creator spirit consciousness, the power, the creative power. And therefore, this is what Abam was saying, that she consumes Ra in the evening, gives birth to him in the morning, and a new day emerges. And that's a metaphor for the power of creation emerging. And then all of these forms are created from that creative essence, that creative power consciousness. And then we are referring to them as deacons, etc. And therefore, these star systems are not autonomous powers. They have emerged from creator spirit consciousness. And that consciousness is the force that projects their movement. And then their movement is organized by Goddess Ma'at. So she makes sure that, in other words, that the sun is not colliding with the moon, etc. And she is the one that also makes sure that asteroids hit the Earth. So she organizes the whole cosmic play. Let me turn this around. She organizes the whole cosmic play. And that is why that you can metaphysically utilize these star systems to gain insight into divinity and into one's own true divine nature. So they're in a boat, which symbolizes the movement, the dynamic movement, flow, process of the universe. The point to understand is that it is not occurring by chance. They're not occurring because each of the constellations have their own innate consciousness on their own. It's occurring because of divine agency. And through that, you can study these systems in a certain particular way, and you can meditate on them in a certain particular way to gain insight into the source from which they have emerged, which turns out to be your source. And this is what Abamun is trying to share with Porphyry, that you can't be coming and saying, oh, the universe is by chance and everything is by chance and there's nothing behind it. That's like a scientist trying to create something saying, I am the creator of this thing, but using everything that was created by God. So who is the creator then? Who is the true creator? You can't create anything without using God's stuff. So scientists have to be careful. You have to be reflective. And in that way, you create things that's a benefit to humanity and to others, and something that is in balance and in accord with the earth, the air, the water. Instead of polluting, you maintain and you work in harmony with the cosmic environment. And that is referred to as ma'at adi, righteous action. So we're going to go back to the text to finish up. So that's what he was saying here. Hence, it would not be reasonable in anyone to undertake a defense of them, saying that they're autonomous powers in and of themselves. So it goes beyond a kind of a materialistic or mechanistic view or a Newtonian view. Newtonian physics has its positives, but this goes way beyond Newtonian physics. And it actually cancels Newtonian physics from the perspective of a mechanistic view of the universe and things. And when you develop a mechanistic view, what you're doing is that it's unrighteous. You're doing something that is an antithesis to reality. So we'll come back and we'll do chapter 4. One other thing I should say is that the decans were significant because they appear with the sun. New decans appear with the sun every 10 days. So cosmically, it's like the creator spirit consciousness giving birth to the star systems in a continual process of generation. So it's the power of creator spirit consciousness that is generating what you are referring to as the universe. If you can hold that idea, it can lead you to some peace and calm and understanding in life, which will then jumpstart to a more mystical truth when the personality is ready. So we'll come back next week and we'll get into chapter 4 of Porphyry's discourse on ancient Egyptian religion to Porphyry. So Dua again, and Dua for your patience with us this morning as we had some technical issues. So Dua for making it happen. Until we meet again. Attack.